All right, so welcome to our call today. I am Jean Atman. I am with my friend Jen Snyder. We are having a little discussion this morning about how to maintain our frequency within all this change that's coming up. And August 2020 being one of the most intense months of this year to date so far, at least. I don't know if it's going to get, more amplified beyond this, but we're finding ways to navigate this new energy coming in. The Lionsgate portal coming on August 8th, a lot of more light codes coming in, being able to be set up to receive these codes, as well as maintaining a sense of self as we work through this process. So Jen and I were talking this morning about how to establish our state of being more consistently, even through all of the changes that are happening around us and other people's energies and uncertainty of life and so much happening right now. How do we maintain balance throughout this process? So that's what we're going to be diving into today. So we'd love to turn it over to you real briefly and let you add in a couple things before we dive into the all the ways that we've kind of come up with already this morning.
Yeah, this is such, thanks, Jean, and welcome everyone. It's really great to see you, and thanks for joining us. You know, this is balance cannot be overstated right now. I think that is the pivotal word of the day, because there's so much happening, and so much happening. It's almost like week by week. I remember saying to you the other day, sometimes I wake up and I look out the door and I'm surprised that the leaves are still green. I'm like, oh, I thought they would maybe be purple today. Like, that's how wildly things are changing on a daily basis. And of course, I'm kidding. I don't, but who knows, I like to leave room for possibility of all kinds, because it would be madness to try and predict what's happening next. So staying in a balanced position right now as we navigate these times is really one of the best gifts that you can give yourself. And so we're talking about, what does that look like? How did Jean and I do that for ourselves? How do I wake up in the morning, and what does that look like from my little island on the coast of South Carolina? How do I maintain balance? Because no matter how, if you've been doing the work for 10 years or 10 days, 20 years or 20 months, it is a daily practice. It's not like we figure it all out and read all the books and then whoop, we're done. Awesome. I'm great. I'm good to go for the rest. Negative. It doesn't work that way. We got to keep rolling and stay in a daily practice that honors your truth and honors where you are right now, while learning and changing and growing and maintaining that balanced position, so that you're not wildly swinging your pendulum from side to side, that in a way that really just depletes all of your energy all of the time. So that's the theme today, is how do we stay in a balanced position while moving forward? We don't want to be stagnant. We want to continue to grow and change. And I think one of those things that we've talked about this morning and over the past couple of weeks is how we must recognize that while there are many things that are beyond our control, okay, we all know that there are many things that are beyond our control, and at the same time there are many things that we can control. One of those things is our breath, breathing. Incorporating a breathing practice into your daily routine. And then also just realizing that we'll talk about the breathing a little bit more here in a minute, but number two, I think is just as important, is that we begin to really be comfortable with the concept that what we think is what we see, and how what our perspective is really changing or is really determines what experiences that we draw into our field. So as Jean and I were just talking, and we're going to go into that a little further, what does that look like? Well, that means that if I wake up in the morning and I'm not really super psyched about the way I'm feeling, maybe I slept a little wonky, and maybe I've got a little shoulder thing, and what do I do about that? Well, we're talking about setting the dial, and that we are in charge by the very nature of our thoughts. We are in charge and responsible, able to respond to what it is that we would like to see instead of what we have. Okay, I'm not really psyched about this wonky thing, and I feel kind of depleted, and God, I had weird dreams last night. Whatever that looks like, oh, okay, seems like my dial might be set a little low. I'm going to turn up the joy. I'm going to turn up the amps. I'm going to turn up the vital energy. What do I need right now? I need something way higher than I have. Crank that baby up. And literally, as Jean and I just kind of went through that, Jean was like, hey, maybe we do this. Why don't this is within our control. And as she talked me through that process, I literally felt amplification rising from the base of my spine up through my chakras. And I said, hot damn, girl, that did it. I am amplified. Brilliant. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. Crazy, but I think, we talk about awareness a lot, and having the awareness that we are in a state of being that we don't want to be in is step number one. And then recognizing that there's choice to stay there or not. Step number two, we kind of talk about that a lot. So that will be a recurring theme that we continue to remind everybody of, as well as each other and ourselves, to stay on track in the best possible way. Because when you're immersed in something, yes, write that down. When you're immersed in something that doesn't feel good, sometimes it's hard to remember that you don't have to be there. You can choose to be someplace different. And when we started exploring, how do we keep ourselves in a state of being that feels good consistently, and how much influence are we letting in that we didn't realize that we were letting in until we just started having a dialogue about it. And what we realized was we've just been, like a grocery store that never locks its doors and has it open. Of course, anything's going to come in and help itself to whatever it needs, right? So we don't want to do that. We want to set some boundaries. We want to set some borders on that and be specific about what is actually invited into our fields. Is a needy neighbor invited into your field to where you feel completely depleted after that, that interaction? Absolutely not. Start to send some energetic borders around that. And you don't even have to necessarily establish that with your neighbor. You can just say, I'm not open for business in that way anymore. It doesn't work for me. I'm closing that door. I'm putting a padlock on it. It is fingerprint, sensitive. I am the only one that can shift that. Until then, that's on lockdown. That is no longer an open door policy. And think about all the other things that you're doing. When you establish energetic boundaries, the world begins to reflect that shift. So until you recognize that this has been an open door policy, then you don't make changes to it. So recognize it, padlock that shit up, and move on with your life in a better way. And this could be, people that are energy suckers, energy vampires, people that are super needy, people, anything that you interact with that doesn't feel good, set some boundaries on, and then be responsible for your vibration within that. If you feel depleted, what do you need to fill yourself back up? And I loved that when we started playing with that dial. It's like, whoa, that really worked. Think about your energy feeling low, turn it up a little bit, see how that feels. And all of a sudden, both of us lit up. We're like, whoa, that's so amazing. It's so easy just to play with that. And I want to share one thing, and then I'd love to turn this back over to you, but I want to talk a little bit about vibration. And years ago, when I was first learning about vibration, a very dear, amazingly gifted channel, a friend of mine, Daria Justin, she is so amazing. And she said to me, your vibration's all over the place. You're up, you're down, you're all over the place. I'm like, what does that mean? What does that even mean? And it took me a little while, but when I put that on my radar to learn about what that meant, I had an experience where I was in a really depleted place and felt really like in the struggle and life was hard. And I was asking about it. Why am I here again? I've been doing all this work. Why am I here again? And guidance came through and they said, oh, you created this 3 weeks ago. And I was like, wait, what? So what happened, what I learned was on the down spiral, I marinated in that energy for so long that I actually manifested another cycle of that in my future. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
So I created that up and down. So I thought, well, I'm not doing that anymore. That sucks. I don't want to have that experience anymore. So I started to really check myself. If ever I was, going back into that down spiral, I would pull myself out before I reached that place. And instead of doing this, I started to do this and get higher and higher and higher, maintaining my vibration at a different level. Because whatever we're feeling in the moment is something that we're actually creating to then meet us in our future, whether it's good or whether it's bad. So we are responsible for what we're creating. So if you're not feeling good now, take on these little things of turning the dial up, feeling better, refocusing on what you want as opposed to what you don't want, feeling just a little bit better than where you have been. And when you do that, you create that experience in your future. So it's amazing how it all comes around based on how you're feeling in this present moment. So anything we can do to get in a better feeling place is amazing. So
yeah, that's so important to again, another thing that I don't think that we can overstate enough is that we are constantly creating, right?
mm-hmm.
We're always, with every thought, with every action, with every intention, with every word,
Mm-hmm.
it's all energy. And when you start talking about vibration, it's kind of everything, because literally it is everything. I'm not trying to be goofy. I'm just like, I'm cracking myself up here, because when it's such a simple concept that it's oftentimes just kind of overlooked. But really, when you take away all the fluff, all the detail, all the language that we like to throw at things, it very simply comes down to, it is all energy. Everything is energy. That's the field, the quantum field that we refer to. And anything that we put out into that field comes back to us. So, this is a concept that that I'm certain you've heard of before. Not you, Jean, but anybody listening, I'm certain that you've heard of this before. What's different right now is that it used to be 20, 30 years ago that you would put something out and then you would see it circle back around in the next 5 to 10 years or whatever. Right. Well, right now we are in a phase of instant manifestation, of instant, like this is like genie in a bottle, like boom, you think it, you see the evidence of that. So this is what I know the folks that I've been following and listening to, and the mentors that I have chosen to align with. I've been hearing about this for years, that y'all make no mistake, we are coming into a time where you really got to get clear. You got to clean up your thoughts. You got to work on your shadow aspects, because as we enter in this phase, and we're in it now for sure, it will only continue to amplify. But if you are in a consistent down spiral where everything is someone else's fault, you can't figure out how to take responsibility for anything, it's going to be very challenging to get up out of that, because it's so instant, right? So like Jean said, when you're down here, you're going to come back up. But when you're down here, what are you creating for your future? So that's why we like to say, whatever you can do to get yourself on an upward spiral, do it. Be very diligent. Be very, very discerning about the thoughts that you think, the words that you speak, and the actions that you choose to partake in, because in every way that is informing the evidence of what you would like to see more of
Mhm.
all the time,
Mhm.
not cafeteria style, all the time. As our dear Barbara Marciniak likes to say, this is not a cafeteria style thing. It's the whole full meal deal. Okay.
Mhm.
So that this is it. And this is a wonderful, beautiful thing. This will work in your favor so long as you choose to exercise energetic hygiene. Just
Yes.
thinking about, cleanse, 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 cleanse. Think about that. I don't feel great. I'm going to turn up the dial. I'm going to envision it, make it as elaborate as you want it to be. It's your dial.
Mm-hmm.
Put unicorns on it if that works for you. Personalize this stuff. It is yours. These are your tools. So think about it. Yes, it's bright pink and it's got Gerber daisies all over it. Awesome. Because you're going to be visiting that dial every day. I want you to get this incorporate this. Just try it. Just indulge me for a minute. Try this every morning. Say, okay, I'm going to wake up in the morning. I'm going to envision my dial. I've got the key. I have the gate key. I'm going to open that panel. I'm going to see my dials. They've got my thumbprint and my fingerprint, so nobody but me can change those dials. It's all it's got all the most quantum security system attached to it. Okay, how do I want to start today? I'm going to turn up the dial. I'm going to turn up the dial on this, on this, on this, and this. Make that your morning practice. So before you go into any of that sort of situation, I've done that. I know what that's like. I know how that feels. I know what that begets. No bueno. So go to your panel box, go to your dial box, and just play with those dials. What do I want to experience today?
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the dials. So give people some examples. So what could that include? That could include energy level. How do we feel? What's our emotional state of being? What's our mental state of being? Where is your dial on intensity of things you don't want to experience? Maybe turn that down a little bit. If you're having trouble in the mental body with all these obsessive thoughts that we tend to get in, let's turn that one down. And when you can access that, if you start to feel that coming back in, go in and say, oh, it's somebody, that's got turned up, and that maybe that was my default to turn that up. Would I even know that? So I'm going to intentionally turn that back down and minimize that some more. Instead, I'm going to amplify this. And it sounds almost silly because it's so simple, but you can feel it energetically, emotionally, if you let yourself play with it. And yes, it is that easy. It can be that easy. And especially, I love that we talk about some protection around that, because we do need to be protective of our fields right now. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of movement of things happening. And if we can protect ourselves from feeling blown over, why not? You can maintain your sense of self much easier when you're in your center. And when you have this, and whenever you're playing with these things in the morning, tune in, do a check-in. It's so important to check into even how we feel, because a lot of times we don't even know how we feel. We just start our day and we're dragging a bunch of stuff from yesterday and we don't even know that. And we're like, why are we so tired? Why are we so irritable? Well, it's because you're not even checking in initially to see, can I get to this level today? Can I get to neutral and start there? And as we talk about emotions, if we're super angry and really frustrated, the expectation is not realistic to go from anger to joy. Let's just go to discontent. Let's go to a little bit, of neutral, and eventually get to that place. So be realistic with the expectations about how long it takes you to get to ultimate joy. Just feeling a little bit better is a win. And
Yes.
feeling a little bit better means I'm going to stop obsessing about this thing that isn't working over here and redirect my focus into something different. Anything different, anything. It can be like, oh, there's a leaf on the tree, anything to distract yourself. And I found that it's good if you have a default mantra of something to pull yourself out of those places where it's like I'm thinking about all these things and I'm obsessing and I don't know how to pull myself out of it. I don't know what to do. Come up with something that feels resonant to you, whether it's I'm embracing ease and peace in my life, or whatever it is that is your default. To pull yourself out of that, give yourself an easy button, someplace where you can go without needing to process through it, to help uplift yourself. And when you can pull yourself out of that state of suffering and get into a neutral space, free will and choice is much easier to make from that place. But if you're in suffering, you're kind of like in this huge vat of suffering. It's harder to see how to get yourself out of it. So step one, anything to distract. Step two, make a choice to think something better and keep moving in that direction. And I think the dials is such a beautiful way to do that. It distracts the thoughts, it distracts the mind, it gives you something to do. You can play with it, manipulate it, and it gets you out of where you've been. Brilliant.
Right. And it's fun, so just to put a scientific spin on our imagination here, is that it's so easy and brilliant because it takes us out of our left brain, logical, rational thinking, and shifts us right over into the right brain, which is where we really have our power. Your empowered thinking is in the right brain, because that's where the love is. That's where your creativity is. That's where your imagination is. And the more we can be on that side of the brain, well, it's just, everything is better there. Everything is, it is, and we need our left brain for certain things. The problem is, this culture that we live in really celebrates left brain thinking, the math, the science, and all those things are important, sure. But we have made a way of life, we've been indoctrinated to believe that it's all about the left brain thinking. And boy, does that limit the potential, just that alone. And it's very easy to buy into that. I know what that's like. I have done that. I have bought into that left brain. It's just noise over there. It's good to spend about 20% of your time over there, and then the rest of your time be over here in your imagination, because that's where your magic wand is. That's where your crystal ball is. That's where your magic carpet is. That's where your standing stones are. Like, I want you, and bringing up the imagination, Jean, I think it's so important to talk about how these tools that Jean and I are giving you and talking about, a lot of times they are rooted in the power of the imagination. And again, you just kind of think, if you're in the default left brain thinking, you will know that, because your brain will go, come on, that's kids. That's what kids do, right? Your brain immediately starts, no, deny it. Nope, I'm going to deny that. I call bullshit. That's not going to work. What could that possibly do? That is evidence that you're in the left brain
So
thinking,
true.
right? But literally here, I want to just give you this, just trust me, try it. Give yourself a trial basis if that's all you can handle. That imagination will get you into and out of the noise of the left brain, and the worry and the criticism and the judgment and the depression and the anxiety. It'll take you right out of there. It's your gift. You have that gift built into your system. It is your choice to switch it on. So when we say, let's get into the dials, let's talk about the dials, right? So maybe this could be your first step into this exercise. Grab a piece of paper, draw a circle, because we don't work in boxes. No. Okay, your breaker box is no box. It's a circle. And let's even it's your dial circle. Okay, see, look, I went. Let's just draw that circle, and then draw your dials and put them all over. And then, you could name them, or you could color them different things. You could have a legend over here on the side. The pink dials stand for da, 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 da. However that looks to you. Get into your creative, put your imagination cap on and go wild. Make it beautiful, but make it your own, and own this, and this is a birthing process, because if you're, if you're really going to go all in with us, let's do this for a week and just see what change we can affect by doing this for a week, and make it fun, make it playful, laugh about it, get a friend to get on a Zoom call and y'all talk about this together. This is where, you can amplify this energy with another human, this alchemy, this creation. Get into this process and just go wild and have fun. And all of a sudden, I guarantee that you're feeling better than you did when you started.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. It's crazy, and it is simple. And I love how you brought science back around, because that is such a clear indicator of where you are. If you're in resistance and coming up with all the reasons why things aren't working, that's a beautiful way to check in and see, where am I operating from? Which operating system am I working from? And if you've been working from a situation or a system that has not worked, what are you going to do about that? Let's make a choice. And doing exercises like this to help get you in your creative mind is so helpful. And for me, energetically, even feeling what that does to my energy, I'm like, whoa, that's so potent. It is so potent. And I can't wait to play with that more, to see what we can create with that, that exercise. But I do want to circle back around with playing with this stuff, but also what you brought up earlier in the conversation about breath, and giving people some tools to kind of work within the breath, also to move some of the stagnancies out, because these simple tools are what are so powerful. It doesn't have to be complex. It really, the more simple, the more focus and more clean the line is to getting to where we want to go. So I would love to have you speak into about breath and how best to use that to help people uplift themselves, especially when they're feeling really, a lot of the fear and things that are being imposed on us currently.
Yeah, thank you, Jean. I think, again, we can't say enough about it. And the short answer is, you can get online on an app, the Daily there are so many resources where you can go and find somebody who is leading a meditation, leading a breathing exercise, and just dive in and try things out. Okay. Just see what works best for you. What kind of breathing exercise works best for you. So that's the short answer. But to expand on that a little bit, I think it's really important to just be able to sit with the concept that, wait, I can control my breath. Wait, that's one thing that I can control. When you start to spin out and feel like there are things just coming at you, and let's be honest, I mean, if you have a pulse right now, you are going through that. This is again, August 2020 in the good old US of A. There is a lot of restriction happening. And so what does that mean? Well, it means a lot of things, but for you in this moment, when you begin to feel really restricted, remind yourself, Post-it note your house, your car, your office, whatever, wherever you are, put these reminders. I can control my breath. Mm-hmm. I can always control my breathing. If you are a healthy person, not in the hospital right now, I'm obviously talking to people who are walking around and are not prohibited by some injury or condition, you can control your breathing. So if all that means is I'm gonna walk into the bathroom, I'm gonna shut the door, get away from the dog, the kids, the husband, the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. For 5 minutes, I'm gonna sit down on the edge of the tub, I'm gonna close my eyes, and I'm going to breathe. And I'm gonna go breathe, inhale for 3, maybe 4 counts, and then exhale. Immediately, That's a magic wand tool right there. That is a magic wand tool. Grab that tool. It's just the awareness, the memory. Oh, wait, I do have a tool. I'm spinning out. Things seem crazy. Wait. What can I control? I can control my breath. And so just bringing awareness to the breath will do about 85 different things all at once. Mentally, emotionally, physically, you become present. You begin to draw in more oxygen than you were before, because if you were spiraling out, spinning, I'm not certain, but I'm betting that you were probably shallow breathing. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's what we do. That is just what we do. And anytime we hear a clip from the news, a jarring sound from the radio, a jarring sound from the television, that will take you into spiral out, spin out. Sometimes that's all it takes to just break the, I just can't take it anymore. In that moment, you have a magic wand and it is your breathing. So take it. It doesn't have to be fancy. If you only have 3 minutes alone in the bathroom, take those 3 minutes and start to breathe. And then, and pull that breath, pull that prana, that life force all the way down into your diaphragm, down here below your rib cage. You want that situation to be expanding. And then you pull, as you exhale, it falls back down and you expand. Not it, guys. Not it. You want your shoulders to stay here, and you want to expand from the diaphragm, and then breathe out, and just roll with that for just a few minutes. It's a game changer. Just do it as many times a day as you can. And that will help you, that moment will help you change or up level into a different vibratory position. You will feel better. Maybe it's not going to be 100% better, but hey, we're looking for micro movements here. Sometimes we're just looking for small incremental change in the up direction, up leveling from where we were. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that consistency is what's going to make the biggest difference, because it's not the massive leaps forward, which can be really intimidating and scary. It's just doing something to get a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. Before you know it, you're far away from where you started and you don't even know how you got there, because it's pretty effortless when you just focus on what you're wanting, focus on, improving your situation. And the other thing with breath, you're so right, where it does affect so many things, because when we feel stressed, we contract, we hold our breath, we hold everything that we're fearing, and we're gripping onto those things without even knowing that we're doing it. So we're actually compressing our field in a way that is so completely uncomfortable. And then we just stay there and we hold there because we don't know what else to do. But just from the energy of breath, we instantly start to expand. We release what we're holding without even needing to worry about what we're letting go. It automatically, organically begins to fall away, to let go, to release. And we release our grip. Because you think about it, if you're in fight mode or you're gripping onto something, this is all your hands can do, right? But when we let go, we're like, oh, we can receive things, we can feel things, we can be here, we're safe here. It changes so many things, but you don't even need to worry about all those moving parts. If you just think, I don't feel good and I want to feel better, I'm going to breathe. And by doing that one thing, everything else changes around you. And again, getting back into the creative brain, releasing that linear have to, supposed to kind of thinking, and just focusing on the breath. You're expanding, and that changes everything. So I love that so much. It's just delicious.
Yeah, it does. It changes everything. And again, this is you in a passive way doing very active things. Yes. And we've been sold a bunch of lies, but one of them is that in order to make change, it has to be big. I mean, I want you to think Hollywood script. BS. That is a lie. Don't buy into it. Cancel culture, that right on out the door. what will help us the most is these micro movements. We gotta celebrate those. You know, if you're like in the midst of like, I'm divorcing my whole family right now, I just can't take it anymore. And you know, that's a very real feeling, because this has been a challenging year for a lot of people, dealing with things that they've never had to handle before. So if you're in that feeling, I get it. Don't beat yourself up about it. It is what it is. Whatever, move on, breathe, and then celebrate the fact that you don't want to divorce your family anymore and then go like, you know, do something crazy. We've got to celebrate these small incremental movements, because that's what we've got, and that's what we have available to us right now. The Hollywood boom, like all of the fireworks and the stuff, negative. Yeah. That is a story. That is a lie. I'm not saying it's not possible. We definitely want to believe that all things are possible, because all things are possible. But right now, when we're like dodging bullets, you feel like you're in the trench and you're dodging bullets. Yeah. Let's look for the small, easy, manageable changes. Because like you said a minute ago, Jean, it just made me think, when you said we're holding our breath and we're really we're contracting and we're holding on and we're very tense. Can we move energy at all when we're in that posture?
No.
No. So you just think about that as a lockup. You are locked up. You are ineffective. You are limp with energy. You got nothing. So just like, oh, okay, I'm just going to move. You got to move through that. And breathing is such a powerful first move.
Think about when people sigh. You know, a lot of people that are in frustration, they sigh, and that's the body's way of trying to offset the energy to a point where it's so overloaded. And so that is a little indicator that you can use too. When you find yourself sighing, think, oh, I need to let go of some stuff. My body's trying to let go of some stuff. And you can help it and move through that stuff even faster, more efficiently, when you're intentionally breathing. And so, you know, I think to wrap things up here, a couple things to think about. Number one, being aware that you're uncomfortable. Number two, remembering you have choice not to be in that place. Number three, redirecting your thoughts to anything, which number four, it's great to redirect it to breath, you know, because you make so many changes without needing to do the work to offset that stuff, but to just redirect something that's helping you as opposed to being detrimental for you. So if you can implement those four things, awareness, choice, refocus, and breath, you're golden. You can move through anything from that place, because you're taking control of how you feel and what you're focusing on. And you're redirecting from what's not working into something that's serving you. And not only bringing you into neutral, but actually helping you to elevate, because you're letting go of everything else that you don't need, just from that simple action of breath. So
yeah,
brilliant. So much.
Yeah. Very, very big. And believe that it's possible. I want you to just believe that you've got these superpowers that maybe you've never considered before. But when we believe that all things are possible, and we open that door to the possibility, then they are. But, you know, just again, getting out of that left brain and into the right brain. And also, I think it's really important to notice where you are before you start this exercise. And then notice, how do I feel afterwards? So that you can gauge, wow, I came this far just now. Yeah. And then get into that celebratory moment. Even if it's just for a minute, just be like, yes, I'm so awesome. I totally rock. Because you do.
That's right. I love that. Really good point. Because when we can see that we make changes for ourselves, we feel empowered to do it more. You know, if we think, oh, that sounds great in theory, but whatever. But if you try it and you get that validation, you're like, oh, that works. Okay. I'm going to start doing that more often. So beautiful point to bring that around.
Yeah, thank you, Jean.
Uh,
This is awesome. I'm so happy to bring this information out for everyone, and so glad that y'all joined us today. And yeah, may this help you in whatever capacity you are willing to receive help.
Yes, exactly. Thank you guys. And thank you, Jen, for meeting here with me today again as we figure all this stuff out and share. So I appreciate your presence.
Thank you, Jean. You too, as we navigate the 2020.
Good time. Good time.
Yes, yes. Thanks,
All right.
guys.
We'll see
Have
you
a
all
good one.
next time. Bye.
Bye.